Hello everybody and welcome to Nordic RC Visions and the Hobby Room. I am Michael and this is the WPL C14. If you're new to this channel, I may warn you, this channel is all about waffling and rants and babbling and rambling about RC cars. If you want to check out a different style of videos, then check out my main RC channel, Nordic RC Visions, up here. This video is gonna be no different, and I'm gonna waffle on for quite a bit in this video, and I'm not even gonna promise you a short video because I haven't really scripted this, and I'm just turning on the camera and talking to you about some of my projects. Now a few of you may have caught up with that I am currently trying to restore and get all my miscellaneous projects and models that aren't functioning right now, repairs and restorations and all that kind of things, finishing off some details, upgrading some details, changing out electronics. The main goal is to get them all out running here in 2020. If I will succeed, I do not know, but that's the plan anyway. So this obviously caught my eye on the, got the hair really nice, sorry about that, caught my eye on the shelves because this has never seen 1 second of running and is a complete roller without even motor or anything attached to it. Now, of course, there's a story behind this. I got it for review, free for review from Banggood.com at a time when these WPL cars was relatively new, and I think this was very new to the market, the C14, which is the first non-military truck, even though it comes in this generic WPL box. This is the first of their non-military trucks. It's a Toyota Hilux, a classic, one of those with a honcho back here, and overall a pretty decent, good looking hard body, again compared to the price. Now Banggood and I thought they were sending me an RTR version, which could include an afternoon unboxing and an afternoon out in the sun recording a video, and that was that. But apparently it turned out, to both my contact and Banggood's surprise and my surprise, that I got the kit version. But I said that's alright, it's not fitting into the plans because I remember I was currently hung up in some Tamiya projects. I always am. Currently over there I'm building or rebuilding my old CC01 for another project, also in order to get that one out running in 2020. So it really didn't fit into my plans at that time, and there was some issues with it that just put me off, even though I found the time to assemble at least the car itself here. But I never finished it with electronics, but the plan is that I'm going to do it now. Now again, a warning, I will not get this up and running in this video. This is just a lot of waffling for my purpose, for my sake, and for maybe it will interest some of you which have an interest in these kits as well. If you do not have any interest in these kits, then turn off the video and go watch something else right now, because this is gonna be heavy. But as I said, it didn't fit into my plans, but my plan for today or later in this week is to get it up running. My plan for this video is just to say some good things about this truck and then point out some of the things that kind of turned me off. I was living in the city, so it just ended up in its box after I built it, because it had some issues which I just wasn't too happy about. I will show you a couple of those now, just putting this to the side. For the first issue, one of the things that I didn't really like about this was the manual. I will compare all of these to a WPL C34 KM Metal Edition kit that I got, and I will show you how WPL has improved on all of this with the new kits. But for now, this was the first try with the Toyota Hilux Honcho. By the way, it's kind of similar to the C24, so I think most of the things that I will say just can be translated into the C24 as well. The C14 is the first one with the honcho back, and the C24 is the same Toyota Hilux style but with a flatbed and a cab and everything. But this is gonna be about the C14 and the C34. So here are the manual. Now, for someone like me, who I'm still relatively new into the RC world, I have only built Tamiya kits before this one surprisingly turned up as a kit on my doorstep. And being a great fan of the Tamiya manuals, I think some of you can recognize some of my problems with this manual. Small pictures, the drawings themselves are pretty good done, but very small. You have to wear glasses, I think, if you're wearing glasses, reading glasses, to see this. And just a very bad quality. This looks like a regular photocopy and not prints or anything at all. So that definitely turned me off in the build process. Of course, also the fact that everything is in Chinese here, and since I was still relatively new a couple of years ago building kits, it just, yeah, didn't do me any good, this kind of instruction manual. Now, the build itself went relatively easy if you just follow this, but if it was pure joy following these schematics and drawings, I do not know. But in Chinese, everything and photocopies and just two plain pages of photocopies here didn't really do me any good at that time. Now, just before I continue, I will say that I had a couple of C or WPL trucks before this one, some of the RTR models. So I was definitely not just turned off on the quality, because I kind of knew what I was getting into and expected this kind of quality. As you know, these trucks and this brand wins by the price ratio of their models. I think this is a maybe $30–40 Euro truck model, so it's very cheap, and you just get what you pay for. And what you pay for is some cheap plastic and some cheap alloy rails here, but everything fits kind of nicely together, and it's a beautiful body, very detailed and nice. So for the price, I do not have any trouble with this at all. I just wish that the instructions could have maybe been done a little better, so we could have enjoyed the build a little better. Now, some other things that turned me off was, of course, one of the main reasons that I didn't finish this was that there was a part missing. So there's actually a snorkel that imitates a real snorkel going from the motor and drawing in oxygen here, that was completely missing from the kit. I will talk about how they have remedied or been better at avoiding problems such as this with the new kits, but this was just basically a box which wasn't really closed or anything, a few bags, but a lot of these parts were just lying around in this box. So of course a parts tree, it's easy to break something off when you package it and you get a parts tree that is actually missing a part. So I was really turned off by that fact. One other fact, I have glued these tires now. Maybe the video is already up on Nordic RC Visions, my main channel. While these tires did impress me, compared to the RTR models, these are of a very soft and good compound, which will do good on the trails and which will give them flexibility and grip for a light truck like this. It only has friction shocks, but still these are pretty functioning. Could be a little softer because it's an extremely light truck, so I don't think it will give tons of flex out on the trail. So if you can soften up the springs, that would be good too. There's a lot of other mods, basic mods. Of course you can upgrade this to an all metal, but there's supposed to be gear problems, so you can upgrade those to metal, and there's supposed to be a lot of bomb steer. I've seen a lot of videos with a lot of bomb steer on this, which I don't know, doesn't turn me off, because I even upgrade my Tamiya's, so upgrading some metal gears is no problem, and maybe even finding a solution to the bomb steer isn't really a big problem too. Or just leave it like this. Most of my Tamiya's have bomb steer anyway, so I'm quite used to it. So the tires were pretty nice and soft compared to the RTR versions that I was receiving some couple of years ago here. But they were just poorly made, and it's very easy to get these glued wrong. And as you know, some of you may know, I'm not a big fan of gluing tires, and these really needs to be glued before running, because they just kind of fall off the wheels by just looking up at them or touching them. So soft a compound. Some of them I managed to glue okay, but still there's some imperfections, and some real imperfection with this. I chose this as the rear spare wheel, because this one just didn't fit and there's a big gap. You can see that in my tire video of this. There's a big gap in this, which is just the rubber compound being mouth shaped from the factory. So that definitely turned me off a little with tires that looked very hard to glue, because they didn't really fit the wheels perfectly. And then the part missing here with the snorkel. So another reason which kind of left this in the dark and in the box is the fact that I'm not really a fan of this sand color on definitely not on a Toyota Hilux. I do have other WPL and JJRC trucks with a similar, not quite the same, this is a bit brighter, but with the military trucks, which it's still not my favorite, but at least it looks nicer with the military trucks, this color. So for me, I think I definitely should have gotten the red version, and in order to make this one pleasing for my eyes, I definitely will need to paint it. It's not glued, as you can see, these just sit loose right now, so I will probably, if I get it up running with the electronics, if I succeed in that, I will probably paint this one up too, in maybe black or maybe even red or any orange color or anything else than this. It's not bad, but it's just not my favorite color for trail truck like a Toyota Hilux here. Now let's get to the interesting part, which is the electronics. First of all, not really an electronics but this is a light bar. And even though it's kind of nice because it's already fitted to just be able to pop in some LEDs here, if you do not have any LEDs or have planned it, they just look extremely silly on top of here, without glass or without stickers or anything else. At that time I didn't really have LEDs or was too interested in trying out some LEDs, so this really also just put me off. So it could have been nice with an option of a closed system here, and then you could always pre-drill the holes out later if you wanted to add some LEDs, maybe added some stickers here, or at least some glass parts, Lexan parts. So yeah, that put me off too. Now the motor itself, I think it's pretty decent. It's definitely not the biggest size. I don't have any clue what size this is, but it's a very light truck. And I think if it's not a too high turn, I think if it's a 27 or 35 turn, of course turn has nothing to do with the pulling effectivity, the torque of the truck. So it's just a wheel speed and RPM and top speed and all that. So I think, of course, it would have been nicer with a little bigger motor, but I think it would do all right for this truck. It's not very tiny compared to the weight of this truck. Let me know if you have any experience with this motor, but I think it's all right. You can maybe always upgrade it with another gearbox and dual motors or a larger motor, which I have seen a lot of people do. So that is fine. Another point that just turned me off is this pinion. So I'm not really used to having a pinion. There's absolutely no slots here for this pinion to sit, and I think it just needs to be pressed down, and then you need to cross your fingers if it stays where it's supposed to be. But that was really not one of the things that didn't excite me too much. So I think a decent sized, or it is not a decent size, but a decent fitment of this motor shaft would have done wonders. I will again show and compare this to the C34 at the end of the video. If you want to see it, you can just skip ahead right now. That's the beauty of YouTube. But bad pinion fitment here, I think, but a decent motor. Again, one of the good things about the kits is that you actually get a real servo. Now for some of the newer, I do have the B36 WPL, and it does have a servo too. Some of the RTR models and maybe even the current B1 and B24 has a servo, I do not know. But at that time you get that awful noisy steering of the RTR versions. So the kit version comes with a pretty standard looking servo with 3 wires and everything, so it fits your servo, your radio of any choice, your receiver. Still has plastic gears, but a lot of cheap servos has that, so for the price again, this was pretty good and pretty decent. But again, just like the way this is mounted to the motor, this just, again, when I'm used to at that time building Tamiya vehicles where you actually screw these servos in place and all that, not always without any trouble or them getting loose, but at least you the build experience with screwing these servos into the right place and everything fits perfectly is a good build experience. But this one didn't really come because the chassis is made for the RTR models with another different steering system, as I explained. So there was not really any instructions or anything that was telling me how to mount this. So I think when you do it, I think you just tape it with some servo tape, some double-sided tape or some hot glue, or find out some way to screw it on or something. But it's definitely not a perfect fit, and you have to do some creative thoughts. At that time I was, as I said, only building my first couple of Tamiya kits, so I think this definitely turned me off, that I should have to mount this with just servo tape or anything. But I will try that with this right now, not in this video, but after I had turned on the camera, and see how that works. I think it's gonna be alright. And the next issue I had was that the truck, the model, came supplied with these LEDs. Now they look like they're just taken right off the RTR version. These are, I think it's 5mm or 3 or 4, I do not know, but LEDs which do not have any resistors and are just simply connected to this plug here. Now this plug will of course not fit into your receiver, so you will need a different kind of light unit box for this. And on top of that, as I also will show you with the electronic setup that I have prepared, is that these LEDs do come without any resistors on them. So I will show you some of the trouble that I have with this, because as far as I know, a receiver, I have measured my own, I have seen other measure them, they give out 5.5 volts. And I've seen a couple of videos, I think Ampro did one where he rated these kind of LEDs to a max 3.3 volts. I think Michael from Void, he rated them to a max like 4 volts. So if you plug these into a receiver, you will of course maybe just burn them out without any resistors. Now I won't go into Ohm's law or anything like that, I'm not trained in that, but you definitely need a resistor or something like that here in order to prevent a 5.5 volt getting into these lights and just burning them out. Now I think Michael was creative, and I think he parallel wired them or something like that, which meant that they would receive half of the receiver's 5.5, which is 2.75 or something like that. But that definitely wasn't enough to light up. He just did it as an experiment, I think, and that definitely wasn't enough to light up these LEDs. So you definitely need 3 or 4 volts to get these lit up. But if you get above 5 volts, you definitely will burn them out, I think. So again, something that I didn't have a solution to at that point, because I could of course change them to something else, which I also will do with this project now. I'm not going to use these. You could buy resistors and build them in and change this and all of that, but I think it's just easier to get some others. I will show you in just a minute. But all that combined, now this is turning into a long video again, but all that combined just put me off this truck, and it just ended up in the box, and now it's on the shelf and looking at me and screaming and begging to get out running. I will just show you the electronic setup that I am planning to install in, it would probably be a video for my main RC channel, but I will just show you it here. You're free to comment on them, giving me some advice, or if you have any questions. I probably think if I can't answer them, some of the others here on the comment section can. So feel free to comment, but I will show you the electronic setup, and I will also compare this electronic setup with the C34, because everything is just looking a lot nicer with the C34. Now again, if you want to use this, you have to get your own set of 4 LEDs and power them on somehow. But for now, I'm just gonna leave those empty and not install them on the truck. And again, if you wanna use these LEDs to a normal receiver, you need something like that. I just ripped this off of some of my old equipment and wire these. Take this plug out and install this servo plug, this receiver plug. And then you may have to solder on some other resistors here in order to get them all working with the 5.5 volt from the receiver. I'm not gonna do that either. So what I do have plans of is, now here's a JST plug. You will need this for the motor. It's not supplied with the kit itself, so we'll have to need one of these and solder it onto your motor. You can always also just take a wire and solder it directly onto the ESC, but having a plug means you can change out the ESC fairly easy and so on. So I think I will use a plug for this. Then you need a ESC. Now at the time when I was building this truck, I tried fitting some ESCs and I had none that was small enough to fit in under the hood of the truck here. There's simply not a lot of room here. You can fit a very small ESC inside the battery box here, but otherwise you are confined to some very small ESC systems. Now I have a 20A and a 30A here. Now for this was actually planned to be, this is also bought on Banggood. So you can maybe check out some links, or maybe you can just search for a 30A or 20A amp on Banggood and find it yourself. This is a small ESC. It has all you need. You got the battery plug and you got the motor plug. Got an on-off switch. You can always take this off and just solder these together if you want to get rid of that. And you got your receiver plug into the receiver. So some motor wires and some solder. I'll just solder the motor wires directly to the motor if you want to, but otherwise you're gonna need this kind of plug. And then of course you're gonna need a receiver. This is a cheap one, I think it's $5, $6, $7. It's a Banggood RC GG3, but any Fly Sky with the similar price rating will do. I think it's, before you start upgrading, I think it's nice to at least test the truck out and see if you're actually getting into the truck before starting to upgrade it. Of course you need a transmitter. I'm just using the Banggood RC GG3 for this. And of course you need a battery. You can, now this is where I also still have doubts, because I have no idea what this is rated for, this motor. Even don't know what this is rated for, but I definitely think this motor is small enough that it needs a 7.4 volt LiPo or something similar. You can always just get another one. You can always go with types like these, which has the JHT plug and it's just a lithium ion battery with a little less punch than the LiPos. But otherwise you're gonna need a battery of some sort, maybe a 6-volt battery, but I definitely want to try the 7.4 volt LiPo battery and see how that fares. I also did get some cheap ones from Banggood, extremely cheap. I think most reviews I have seen about these sub power batteries is definitely good. This is 25C 7.4 volt 1000 milliamps per hour with the JST plug, so it plugs of course directly into the AC. Of course you need a charger. If you do not have any chargers, you need a charger for these batteries. So we can turn on the transmitter first, and we can turn on the ESC. Now it is blinking, so it should be going good. Let's just turn it off again, plug it into the channel A, channel 2. Let's see with the supplied servo. Let's plug that into here, yes, channel 1, and turn it all on. So there's some glitch in the beginning, that can be due to all kind of sorts, but it stops right after and it actually works fine. And I did also test the motor with the battery and everything on, and it just works very well. Now I won't do it because it's easy to short wire everything here if these are touch each other. But definitely you just need to, if you want to test them, of course when you install them in the truck, you need to solder them on, which I also will do, but you can test them like this into the small ends here and just plug it into the ESC's motor. Maybe you can do that actually right now, just hoping that I can keep the wires from touching each other. Let's crush our fingers. Yeah. And of course it's not working right now. That's great, because this one isn't actually touching. Let's see. Yeah, so everything works. And that's the basic setup you need. So the truck itself comes with the pinion gear and everything, and also the lights, which you're not gonna use, and then you're just gonna need all of this to get it out running on the right side here. So that's the basic setup that I'm going for, and I'm crossing my fingers that the motor can hold up to a LiPo battery and also the ESC. But let's just see if I'm not overheating it. I think it will be all right, and if I check the temperature I will get an idea if it will hold up in the end. Now again, as I said, I won't be using the stock ones because you need to solder this and into the new wire and get some calculators and get some right resistors with the right resistance for this. I think it's just, I'm a bit lazy when it comes to that, and also a newbie when it comes to that, so I think I will just use what I have This is an old LED, little LED system that I got cheap on eBay. This can be had, I think, for, I don't know, again, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 euros. And this will also enable me to, of course it comes with resistors here, and comes with a plug here. I've had it for several years, never used it, I don't know why. That's how it goes, you buy something and you never use it. And they work just fine. So they have the resistors built in, so they are working fine, I think. And this will also allow me to get some tail lights here. Now these usually come with these light buckets too. Two for the front and two for the rear here, which can be screwed on. You mount your LED here, then you pull this off, like that, and put it on the other side, and then everything should be okay. I do have some soft rubber here which will stick to these LED buckets. It's sitting pretty nice, but otherwise you just have to use something like hot glue to keep it, if you want to really keep it in place here. They are fairly easy to install, so maybe again you need some hot glue or something, but yeah, work out fine. You need maybe something to block this light off, but otherwise they are working fine here with the lights here. For the back it's a bit of a trouble because we have these slots and we could just drill them out and make these fit in very nicely here on the back. But the trouble is that the chassis has this supportive brace here just behind these, if you can see it on camera here. So if you need to drill these out and mount the rear lights here, you need to weaken this spot and drill this out. I think I will do that maybe, or maybe you could just place it here where there's room enough, or even maybe on the sides here. I don't know what I will do, time will tell. But an easy way of fixing the light issue, and on top of that getting some rear lights, would be to just invest in a $3, $4, $5 light unit like this. So that is the basic setup. It looks pretty messy here, but it's basically a standard setup that you will find in most vehicles, most RCs, hobby grade RCs that is. Now I will just do a comparison with the C34 electronics so you can see the difference. So of course the kits compared the C14, what you get is what you see over here. You need some additional parts, maybe some lights or what you will figure out, but definitely need an ESC and a radio and a battery in order to make it function. Now that's definitely no different when it comes to the C34, but everything is just nicer and bigger and better with the C34. Now this is the C34 KM, the kit metal edition. I'm not sure if that differs from the standard edition, but I would think that the things you get is pretty much the same in those two kits. I cannot tell. Of course you get a bigger motor. The motor is not that much bigger than the standard. What you see here is the motor, and you get a reduction gearbox that is already placed on your motor on the C34. So a reduction gearbox here and a much larger and maybe more durable rotator, the drive shaft of the shaft, motor pinion shaft here. Servos, you get a real servo in the C14, you get a real servo in the C34 KM kit, but it's a lot bigger, which could imply that the motor inside here in this are a lot bigger. I have not opened them, but you can always, if you have these, open them up and see the size of the servo motor here. But the boxes of the servos are definitely of different sizes. Now again, here's the pinion, a very small one that doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but the way you mount it without a slot or screw or anything is just not my cup of tea. On the C34, still get a brass pinion. You can probably change it out to a steel pinion, but you actually get a real pinion with a rub screw holder and this flat spot, so you can thread lock and tighten it up as much as you want to. So again, a big plus. It kind of has all the things that I was missing with the C14 when I built it back then. And again, much better. You are supplied with a light unit with real resistors here, and the same LED lights here, but a resistor and a servo plug. So a huge difference here. This just pops into your, but comes with some yellow lights for some authentic Toyota trail runs in the forest. But plug and play with these ones. And on top of that, in the C14 you yourself had to supply or find out how you would like to mount the motor. Get an extra plug here, JST plug or servo, or mount it with your solder iron. But here you actually get that plug with the JST, so ready to, you don't have to worry about anything. You just solder this onto the motor and plug them in here. So all in all, a great improvement. Of course, there are a lot of other differences between the C14 and the C34. Now again, this is the C34 KM. K stands for kit and M stands for metal. I think these rails are standard for both the standard kit and the metal edition kit, but as you can see, a bit thicker and coated, so a bit nicer metal. Of course, I do not know which parts are metal and which parts are plastic in the standard version, but of course the metal edition includes a lot of improvements, like the metal shafts here, and even the wheels just seem, the fitment of the tire of wheels just seems a lot better and more standardized. There's no warps or mouth shapes of these, and they fit very nice into the rims. Still needs to be glued because it's some soft rubber compound, but a lot easier to glue tires that actually fit very nicely to the wheels. Generally, the plastic just looks a lot better, more consistent, without any flaws, stamped with the WPL brand mark here, but just a thicker plastic, and just seems a bit more quality than the C14. Now the issue that I had with the snorkel missing, I think they have tried a solution, because all the parts, this is just some of the parts that come in the kit, all the parts in the C34 comes in this closed. I have unboxed them and opened them, but they come in this totally sealed bags here. So even if parts trees are breaking off, there's a lot of plastic in the metal version still, but if they break off, they stay inside the bag. So there's, I think, less chance of anything missing in the kit in the C34. A bit of a disappointment again. I don't know if this is photocopied, but it's definitely not a high quality print, and it's even smaller. But again, a bit more detailed instructions. You still need your reading glasses if you have any and use them. I do not, so I can read them, but not very big. So, but just a lot nicer instructions, more comprehensive. Bad quality print still, but yeah, and you can see there's a thorough explanation and view of all the parts needed and all that. So better made than the C14. Of course, you have the Chinese version, but more importantly, you have the English version in this, which the C14 didn't have, my edition anyway. But of course, it includes some funny translations, and the one that made this has even had a lot of laughs. Here you can see Gambate and almost there, and yay, the body shell is done, and congratulations for completing the best work in history. So some humor and some detailed instruction. I wish the print was bigger and better, but all in all, a better, much better manual than the last time. So a better kit compared to the C14, definitely. But yeah, also a more expensive kit compared to the C14. Now again, I'm looking forward finishing this off, but just a quick extra comparison. I do not have the C34 built, but if you want an idea of the size difference, well, this is advertised as an 1/16 scale. Maybe it's like a 1/16, 1/14 scale. This is a MN model M45, and it's kind of like a M112 or a 1/14 scale. So definitely a big difference. I don't know if it comes across in the video, but a difference. And the C34 is even, this is also a Toyota, and Toyota Land Cruiser, and it's even bigger than the MN model. So I'm guessing probably a genuine 1/12 scale. I think that's it. Just put this aside. I'm looking forward building the C34, but first of all, I'm gonna get this old girl up running again. That was my plan and my story about the C34. I have no idea if anyone is watching, but if you do, and if you picked up some tricks or some info, that's good. And if you even have some info for me, because I'm still new to this basic WPL assembly kit process, but if you have some ideas, I'm not gonna upgrade it further, but just to install the electronics, some good tips and tricks for electronics, basic setup like I showed you, I'm happy to get them and get some ideas for myself. That's it. I'll get cracking on this and probably make a video for my main RC channel where I will show the progress, and I will definitely also show the truck running. That's it for today. Long video. That's how it is on this channel. As I said on the first day, this channel was designed to allow me to make a lot of longer videos. I do have plans again. I took your comments for my RC room tour, and many commented that they thought that getting a truck here, a finished one, and just a short video about each one is in my collection could be nice. I do like when other hobbyists do that, and I always watch them. But I think that's the plan for now, also for this, and I will definitely with those videos try to keep it a little shorter, kind of I'm thinking 10 minutes or so for each video, or even if I can do it even shorter. Today was just turning on the camera and start waffling on about the C14, and I'll get cracking on this and hopefully get it out running. So happy hobby days, keep them running, and thanks a lot for watching. Take care.